Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Aussians, and history enthusiasts. Welcome to the unveiling of the ceremony for the New York State historical marker for one of America's most beloved storytellers, L. Frank Baum, the man who wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We are honored that the William G. Pomeroy Foundation has awarded this historical marker to commemorate Baum's legacy. I'm Kathleen Sorbello DiScenna. I am the Executive Director of the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation Incorporated of Syracuse, and I am also a Central New York L. Frank Baum historian. I was given this honorary title by Frank Baum's niece. Her name was Cynthia Baum Ticini. I don't know if everybody can see that. And she's also the grandmother of John White. Where is he? He's right behind me. There you are. And also Frank Baum's granddaughter, her name was Ozma Baum Mantell. And these were the ladies who gave me my honorary title. Okay, now, today you are standing on the frontage of the property of what was once called Roselawn. L. Frank lived here from 1866 to 1862. From 1882 to now, that's 144 years ago. Although he was born 1 mile outside of Chittenango on this very day in 1856, his family moved to Syracuse when he was 6 years old. In 1866, when L. Frank was 10, they moved once again to Salina, now Mattydale. There they saw the very first plank road in America. The building of the Salina and Central Square Plank Road began in 1844 and was completed in 1846. Isn't that right, Mr. Leonard? He's over there. Well, anyway, he's your Mattydale historian. In the family folklore, it is said that L. Frank Baum's imagination of the road of yellow brick, which we now call the Yellow Brick Road, started from the yellow hue of the planks on the road. The brick part may also be from Peekskill, New York, where Frank went to the military academy there. And in 1869, Peekskill was known for manufacturing both red and yellow bricks. In 1866, on this property, it was adorned with rose bushes. L. Frank's mother, Cynthia, understandably called the property Roselawn. Today, the property is known after the honor of the two officers who lost their lives in duty. It's called the Husak Jensen Salina Community Center. By the way, the roses that you're looking at over there, they're not real yet, but they will be. As a child, L. Frank roamed the property and his imagination took flight. Long before the yellow brick road stretched across a page or a screen, the seeds of wonder were sown right here in Salina. L. Frank Baum loved living at Roselawn. And years later, he would pass down stories of his childhood and Roselawn to his children, his grandchildren, and the stories were retold throughout the generations. L. Frank lovingly wrote about Roselawn in a book called Dot and Tot of Maryland, and the layout and scenery which appeared in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. He called Roselawn, quote, "my beloved childhood home," unquote. Who would have known that a child's imagination would eventually shape the magical world of Oz? I'd like to thank the Syracuse Rose Society. They're not here today, but they're helping us to find the original roses that bloomed on this property in 1866. And I thank Ann Gibson for helping us. And by the way, Ann Gibson's maiden name is Bush. That doesn't mean anything to you, but to me, she was my childhood neighbor. And her mother's name happened to be Rose. What a small world. Now, we cannot go any further without mentioning our dear friend Robert Baum, the great-grandson of L. Frank and Oz. We were saddened to learn of the news of his passing last October. I had the pleasure of bringing Robert and his wife Claire to this property in 2009 and 2010. During those visits, we celebrated the International Wizard of Oz Club's Munchkin Convention, which I directed, and it was also the 200th anniversary of the town of Salina. Thanks to the efforts of Jan and Harold Reichert, Danielle Rousa, the Roxborough Middle School PTO, Mark McCotra, the late Judy Tassone, and the community, the events featured the production of The Wizard of Oz and a dedication of a time capsule for L. Frank. And here is a picture of Robert Baum and his wife here on this property with the time capsule, so you can see that, okay? All right, now, it was then that the property was officially declared where the land of Oz began. And now for our presentation. So let me just put this here for a moment. And now I would like to welcome our distinguished guests. We are honored to have with us today Mr. Bill Brower, who is the strategic advisor to the founder of the William Pomeroy Foundation. Welcome. Also, we have a letter from our New York State Governor, Kathy Hochul. I cannot thank her enough. Our New York State Senator Chris Ryan and his deputy, Brooke Schneider. There you are. Hello. And Brooke's over there. Our Onondaga County legislator, Ellen Block. Where is she? Behind me. Thank you. Our former Third Ward councilor of the town of Salina, James Cicerelli. Let's see what we got. And our good friend and great-great-nephew, John White. He's behind you. There you are. Okay. So without further ado, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Brower.
So I'm going to project, so hopefully you can hear me in the back. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. It is a joy to be here today to celebrate a man whose imagination gave us the magical land of Oz and changed American storytelling forever. Stories like this matter because they connect communities to their history and remind us that extraordinary ideas often begin in places where we live and work. As Kathleen said, I'm Bill Brower, strategic advisor to the founder of the William G. Pomeroy Foundation. I'm also the director of public policy and community impact at MACME, the Manufacturers Association. Before I go any further, I want to recognize Bill Pomeroy, who's not here with us today. Bill's the founder. Bill's vision and generosity created the foundation over 2 decades ago. And his passion for history continues to guide our mission every day. We thank Bill for his leadership and his belief that local history matters. I'd also like to thank State Senator Chris Ryan for being with us today and for his support of Central New York communities and local history. The more I get to know Chris, the more I respect him. He's pragmatic, he leads with common sense, and he gets things done for Central New York. He's also a champion of manufacturing. Thank you, Senator. At the Pomeroy Foundation, we help communities celebrate history through historical markers. We funded more than 3,000 markers just like this one in 49 states and Washington, D.C. Each marker tells a story about people, places, and moments that shape our shared history. From the recently dedicated Green on Top marker in Tip Hill to the legacy of L. Frank Baum here in Mattydale, our markers stand for a belief that history belongs to everyone. The story of L. Frank Baum is an unforgettable part of Central New York's story. As a young boy, he spent part of his childhood here at Roselawn, a place he later described as my beloved childhood home. Here, surrounded by beauty and imagination, he became the future storyteller we know. His dreams started right here. Many believed that what he imagined in this space would become the merry old land of Oz. And that connection matters because before Oz became a place known around the world, in movies, on the stage, and before generations of readers discovered the Yellow Brick Road, it was first an idea coming to life in the imagination of a young boy here in Central New York. This marker ensures that that connection will not be lost. This marker tells every passerby that imagination has history too. And this marker only happens because people care about our history. To Kathleen Sorbello DiScenna, the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation, the historians, researchers, community members, public officials, and Baum family descendants who helped bring this marker to life, thank you. You are stewards of our collective memory. As we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, moments like this remind us that our democracy depends on memory. Remembering who we are, who we come from, and what we have in common, what we share. And it reminds us that remembering together helps keep us united. Democracy depends on memory, and remembering together keeps us united. Here in Central New York, may we always preserve stories that inspire imagination, creativity, and wonder. And may this marker remind future generations that the most extraordinary journeys can begin anywhere. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, no, it's okay. Wings, you get that. We're good. Thank you so much, Mr. Brower. Oh, my goodness. And now we'd like to invite our New York State Senator, Mr. Chris Ryan. And I also have here the letter from the governor.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that, and thank you for the words, Bill. You know, one of the great joys and the privileges of this job is getting to know people like Bill and working with them. So, and I just want to say this because I'm going to make a joke here, but thank God it's sunny out because it's not going to rain. If it is, we don't want the Wicked Witch of the East to melt, so we'll be all right. So obviously, this is a great occasion. It's great to be here, but there's certainly something special about knowing that a story which inspired generations, many generations across the globe started right here in our own backyard. It speaks to the creativity, the character, and the sense of wonder that has always been part of the Central New York region. For over 125 years, the wonderful Wizard of Oz has captured imaginations and reminded us about courage, friendship, perseverance, and the importance of home. Those themes continue to resonate today because great stories transcend generations, and Baum gave the world one of the greatest stories ever told, which continues to be told today. Events like this here today are important because it reminds us and helps preserve our local history, and it reminds us that Central New York has made extraordinary contributions to the American culture. We should be proud of that legacy, and we should continue to share it with our future generations. So it certainly is an honor to join you all here today as we celebrate the 170th birthday of one of New York's most beloved literary figures. And again, I feel incredibly lucky, incredibly privileged to represent a district with such rich history. Certainly a place where stories, innovation, and culture have shaped generations of people left lasting for marks way beyond Central New York. Today is a perfect example of that. And while many people around the world know Baum as the author of the wonderful Wizard of Oz, we know that his story is right here and unique to our community. So thank you for having me. This is a wonderful turnout. I'm so happy to be here, and thanks again. Thank you.
Could you read the letter?
Oh, you want to read the letter?
Could you read the letter?
Oh, this is from the governor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm from the other branch of government. So I want to, all right. It's my pleasure to send greetings to everyone. Sorry, I don't have my cheers. They put my stuff in big font, but not this. So I'm going to go like this.
Sorry.
You're fine. It's fine. It's my pleasure to send greetings to everyone gathered for L. Frank Baum's New York State historical marker unveiling ceremony. The legacy of author L. Frank Baum is felt across the globe. Generations have cherished his work, especially The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the first of 14 books in its series and the inspiration for many other celebrated works. This new historical marker from the Pomeroy Foundation, located on his former family homestead, will remind visitors that history is not just made in battlefields and legislatures, but anywhere that people dare to write new stories. Today you gather to honor L. Frank Baum's impact on your community and culture at large. On behalf of all New Yorkers, I'm grateful for your dedication to uplifting the accomplishments of our state's creative minds. Best wishes for an enjoyable celebration. Sincerely, Kathy Hochul, Governor of the State of New York.
Thank you.
There you go. Of course.
Thank you. That was so kind.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you again, Senator Ryan. Wow. Gotta grab my breath. Okay, now we have with us again another distinguished guest, our county legislator from the 5th District, Ellen Block.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ellen Block. I'm county legislator that encompasses the town of Salina. I'm humbled to be here today as a legislator who gets to represent Mattydale and Salina. L. Frank Baum's Dorothy famously said, "There's no place like home." And today I reflect on that message and how this town has become my home over the past nearly 20 years. Before my husband and I chose to build a life here in 2008, we grew up in Westchester County, myself in Croton-on-Hudson, and my husband in neighboring Peekskill. You already know by standing here that Peekskill seems to be the inspiration for the Yellow Brick Road. And it was just a short walk from the Peekskill train station where my husband and I hung out regularly. Now, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy follows the Yellow Brick Road to find a way to get home. In doing so, she faces unimaginable challenges, makes new friends, and discovers a strength in her she didn't know she had. It's a story of hope, strength, and perseverance, and it's a story that many are still living out today. Just like Dorothy, many people have ventured out, followed their own yellow brick roads, and discovered that there is no place quite like Onondaga County. As legislator, I'm honored to make this county a place that welcomes those who courageously walk a winding and daunting path to bring their courage, knowledge, and abundance of love to our great region, to pursue their dreams, and to make this place their home. Thank you to the sponsors of this event, to the Pomeroy Foundation for recognizing the significance of this location, and to L. Frank Baum for reminding us that united together, we can accomplish something truly wonderful. It is also my legislative privilege to present the Community Gold Seal, conferred and brought forth by myself and sponsors of the Onondaga County Legislature in the state of New York on this 15th day of May 2026, to recognize the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation of Syracuse for their work preserving the legacy of L. Frank Baum. Whereas L. Frank Baum, author of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, was born in Chittenango, New York in 1856 and lived out his childhood years in Mattydale, New York. And whereas L. Frank Baum, in addition to The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, penned several novels, short stories, and poems, the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation celebrates and explores his life, journey, and works. And whereas the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation of Syracuse hosts outstanding events such as Ozmania at the New York State Fairgrounds, with whimsical elements of Oz like the original Munchkins of the 1939 production, to support programs such as raising more than $10,000 for the Golisano Children's Hospital. And whereas the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation of Syracuse is recognized as a beloved contributor to the Onondaga County community for their educational endeavors and philanthropic work, now therefore be it that resolved that I and all members of the Onondaga County Legislature do hereby recognize and honor the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation of Syracuse for their work preserving the legacy of L. Frank Baum.
And to all our members and every one of you, this is yours too. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thank you again to our county legislator, Ellen Block, and this extremely, I'm honored, this humble and honored award. Thank you so much. Okay, I gotta go on, I gotta move on. Okay, so, a very dear friend of mine now, and former Third Ward Councilor of the town of Salina, Daniel Cicerelli.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. He's gotta get himself prepared.
Sun gets you out here, you know? So I'm Daniel Cicerelli, former Third Ward Councilor here in Salina that represented the Mattydale area, owner of Cicerelli Wildlife Solutions, and a proud member of the Cicerelli team. It was a long road to get here. Some sleepless nights, many frustrations, and unneeded stress. A much longer process than it needed to be due to unfortunate personal agendas and politics getting in the way, which unfortunately is still prominent today, as only one member from the Town of Salina board cleared their schedule to come to this important event today. So shame on the rest of them for not showing up here and supporting what we've been trying to do for years at this spot here.
Thank you, Eliza.
But here we all are. And in light of this happy occasion, and from the wonderful world of imagination, I have also been asked to read a proclamation.
Do you want me here or there?
Wherever you'd like to do.
You read.
So from the city, county, and town of Cicerelli, a proclamation in honor of CNY L. Frank Baum historian Kathleen Sorbello DiScenna and the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation, Inc. of Syracuse. Whereas Kathleen Sorbello DiScenna has served as a dedicated advocate, educator, and historian committed to presenting and preserving the legacy of L. Frank Baum and his deep-rooted connection to Central New York. And whereas Kathleen has proudly served as executive director of the Lyman Frank Baum Foundation and Corporation of Syracuse since May of 2015, working tirelessly through the Land of Oz and the Foundation to educate the public, preserve historic artifacts and records, and promote the literacy and cultural significance of the beloved author and the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And whereas, under her leadership, the Foundation has continued its mission since approximately 2010 to celebrate, preserve, and promote the rich history of L. Frank Baum throughout Central New York, ensuring future generations recognize the region's important connection to one of America's most iconic literary figures. And whereas on this 15th day of May 2026, Kathleen, alongside community leaders, historians, residents, and supporters, commemorates the installation of a historical marker in Mattydale, New York, honoring L. Frank Baum and his lasting impact on literature, imagination, and the cultural heritage of Central New York. Now, therefore, we, the Cicerelli team of the City, County, and Town of Cicerelli, along with the City, County, and Town of Cicerelli board members, do hereby recognize May 15th, 2026 as the Land of Oz Community Recognition Day and extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to Kathleen and the Land of Oz for their continued dedication, preservation of local history, and the service to Central New York community.
Wait, let me open this and let everybody see.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, look. Wow, where's Robin? Come here. There we go. Oh, how beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I
None of this
love
would be
it.
possible without you.
I love Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, now. We got so many goodies here. Wow. Okay, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And now our good friend and the great nephew of L. Frank Baum, John White. John?
Thank you. Now, I know it might be obvious, not that be obvious from looking at me, but I'm not old enough to have known him. I did, however, hear many stories. There's an awful lot of things up here. Told to me through my grandmother, from my grandmother, and I did inherit one thing besides stories. I inherited a book among the Oz series. This is one that's called The Road to Oz. And you might be curious to think what Baum's original version of Dorothy, his concept of Dorothy would be. It was not an adolescent. It was like this. A girl, maybe 10 years old, 8, 10 years old. And originally, the producers of The Wizard of Oz, the movie, had envisioned Shirley Temple playing her part. Now, in those days, movie studios had contracts with particular talent, and they were loath to let it go. So they found an more than adequate substitute in Judy Garland. And the rest is movie history. Now, the movie came out in 1939, so L. Frank Baum never got to see how popular it became. Well, it didn't win the Academy Award. Gone with the Wind did. But The Wizard of Oz has a lot longer legs than Gone with the Wind does. If you have cable TV, you can't. It's everywhere. You see it 10 times a year if you want to. Yeah. Not so with Gone with the Wind. So it has a staying power. At a similar event held across the street maybe 3 years ago, when this building was just being planned, or was it more than that? Maybe 4 years ago. I had been in a similar situation where I spoke, and I said that L. Frank Baum wrote the original American fairy tale. And I think everybody can agree with that. Mm-hmm. But even going beyond that, he wrote the original fantasy novel from America. I mean, Europe maybe, Gulliver's Travels could have been qualified for it, but for this side of the Atlantic Ocean, this was the first one. And as Kathy Hochul's letter alluded to, it was the inspiration for many other things, including, I think, you can't read The Lord of the Rings and not see the influence of The Wizard of Oz in that. Whether it's the Munchkins versus the Hobbits, the Wizards abound, magical articles of clothing, even the Chronicles of Narnia has influences from that too. So Baum's influence traveled across the Atlantic Ocean even before there was airfare, even before TWA and Pan Am flew across them. His influence extended beyond that. And it's beyond a literary influence, too, that I wanted to talk about. Because, quite honestly, L. Frank Baum wasn't successful at most of the things he did. He was a shopkeeper, didn't do well. He loved theater, and he loved producing theater, but he couldn't make money at it. Relatively late in his life, he came up with this idea. And that was wildly successful. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to enjoy all of the success, but a substantial amount he did. And he had 14 of these books. He wanted to stop after 2 or 3, but let me read to you the introduction to this book, which was published in 1909, so 9 years after the original Wizard of Oz. He tells his readers, which he assumed to be children, and most they were, "My dear readers, here is what you have asked for, another Oz book about Dorothy's strange adventures. Toto is in this story because you wanted him to be there. Many other creatures which you will recognize are in this story too. Indeed, the wishes of my little correspondents have been considered as carefully as possible, and if the story is not exactly as you would have written it yourselves, you must remember the story has to be a story first before it can be written down, and the writer cannot change it without spoiling it. In the preface to Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, I said I would like to write some more stories that were not Oz stories, because I thought I had written enough about Oz. But since that volume was published, I've been deluged with letters from children imploring me to continue to write about Dorothy and more about Oz. Since I write only to please the children, I shall try to respect their wishes. Indeed, he did. Those of you who have been exposed mostly to the movie and its subsequent iterations may not be familiar with many, many other characters that are in Oz books. There's a mechanical man in addition to the Tin Man. There's an interesting character called the Shaggy Man, who is like a hobo, but he has what's called a love magnet in his pocket, and it causes everyone to love him. There's a variety of really Button Bright, Polychrome, the Rainbow's Daughter. So please, if you are an Oz fan, investigate some of the books, especially the books that L. Frank Baum wrote. His estate passed on the legacy and other writers wrote, but I think you would be best informed by reading the 14 Oz books, and there are very quick reads, as you might imagine, a lot of illustrations. And enjoy what he has to enjoy, what he wanted us to enjoy. When I said he was a failure at many things, or I think I used the word unsuccessful, it's true, but he ultimately did succeed. And I think we can all take a lesson from that, in that he tried to do all these things that people thought he should do. He tried to be a shopkeeper, a publisher, things that he didn't have his heart in. When he finally followed his heart, he was successful. I think that's a substantial lesson for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was wonderful. Wow. Okay, we're going to end this now. Put myself in here. I'd like to thank all of our speakers today for making this historical marker possible. Again, Mr. Brower from the William Pomeroy Foundation. I'd also like to thank from the foundation Christy Kuhn, Steve Monard, and Susan Hughes. I want to thank our Governor Kathy Hochul for honoring us with a wonderful letter. Our Senator Chris Ryan and his deputy staff, Brooke, thank you for coming. Our county legislator, Amy Block, and thank you so much for the incredible award. Our former 3rd Councilman, Daniel Cicerelli. We also want to thank Kayla? There she is. Kayla, Jerry, Daniel, Dario, and David for their incredible job in placing this marker. They are amazing. I had no idea what went into this marker, and they did a superb job. And I want to thank Robin Cicerelli for her help and support as well. I also want to thank John, the great-grandson. And today we have some special guests again. I want to thank the Dance Center North group, and this is headed by Kathy Mucci. And today we are so happy to have wonderful characters with us. Abby, where's Abby? There she is. She's our Dorothy. Faith, our Scarecrow. Camilla, is that right? Did I say it correctly? Our Glinda. And Claire, who is our Wicked Witch. Thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, and I want to thank our board foundation members, past and present, Jan and Harold Reichert, Howard Kruger, who graciously stored this marker until today, because last year there was, there you are, Howard, there he is, because they were doing construction on this property. I also want to thank the late Paige Griffith, who we just recently lost, Ed Riley from the Marriott Syracuse Downtown, Terry Ross, Pamela Ross, there she is, our dear friend, consultant and designer for the museum, Michael Seward, Mike Likens, Chris Fadden, and the late Antoinette DiScenna and Angela Manginelli were my mother-in-law and aunt. Also, our designer, our consultant, our artist, our videography. She's everything. Sarah! Sarah Wiley-Joyce and her husband Luke, thank you so much. The former board of the town of Salina, who gave us approval for this. And I want to thank Eliza Driscoll. Thank you so much for being here today and caring about this. Thank you so much. All our news media and friends, thank you so much. Nathan Brown from CNS Companies, Brenda and Anastasia from UDIG New York, and all the agencies that helped out so that this property would be protected and we could place the marker safely. Thank you. The Town of Salina Clerk and Codes, and of course the people of the Town of Salina. I want to thank my late brother, Peter Sorbello, for his loving consult, his support, and his guidance. And to my husband, Armin. Where is he? There he is. My husband, Armin, who is always my constant support after all these years. Again, I want to thank you all so very, very much. If I've forgotten anyone, please forgive me. I know what it's like when your name's not mentioned, but I thank you with all my heart. Thank you, thank you. And last, we are eagerly anticipating the completion of the L. Frank Baum and Wizard of Oz Historical Museum in the Husak Jensen Salina Community Center. Now, these gentlemen, as you may remember, are the officers that we lost in the line of duty. And it is an honor to be in a building with their names. And again, graciously, this museum has been provided by the people of town of Salina. Alongside other notable Oz museums, we believe this project is unprecedented as the only museum located on the actual property where L. Frank Baum lived and loved. While it may not be the largest museum, we strive to be outstanding. Our mission is to share more exciting stories about L. Frank Baum and the over 50 locations in New York State and Pennsylvania and beyond where his family lived and worked. That illustrates from those sites the connection of the Land of Oz. And now, here we go. I would like to share one final thought. The influence of The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum is so vast it is woven into our everyday life. We hope that this marker serves as a beacon for generations to come, inspiring imaginations to take flight and encouraging your dreams to soar over the rainbow. At times like this, I always ask the question, what would L. Frank Baum say? I believe this is what it would be. In the book Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, he writes to his little readers, quote, "So you have helped me fulfill my life's ambition, and I am more grateful to you, my dears, than I can express in words," unquote. May this marker remind us by every passerby of the extraordinary worlds that are coming from ordinary places, and that of a young child, a young boy, from Central New York, L. Frank Baum. And now for this long-awaited moment, please join us in the unveiling of the New York State Historical Marker. This beautiful painting that you see in front of you was done by Sarah Wiley Joyce that captures every single speck of Oz from Frank Baum's stories right straight to Wicked. And we want to say happy birthday and welcome home to Roselawn, L. Frank. Can do that. Great, thank you.
You want to put this someplace safe? I got it.
Okay. There we go. We were here last night. What a job. This is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this to you. The historical marker at Roselawn for L. Frank Baum. Daniel, go for it. Yay! Can we get that out? Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Isn't that You too, get your picture in. Anybody want to come and join in? Come, please, by all means. There we go. There we go. Come on, guys. Come on, everybody, come on in.
I want to stand next to Sister Ellie.
There we go. Girls, come on in front. Come on. Two over here, two over there. Come on. There we go. There we go. Excellent. Oh. Thank you all so very much.
You did a great job, Kathleen.
We tried. Thank you again.
Well said.
Okay, now,
Congratulations.
thank you so much.